it's great when we're live, right? So this is Ann Bennett, and I'm here today with Tonya Hoffman, and we're going to talk about a few kind of cool things about how to build your business and get some leverage and visibility. And my website is renegadebranding.com. So everything branding and messaging. And I'm going to tell you, Tonya, I was looking at your list. Thanks for joining me today. I was looking at your list of things you've done. And I'm like, wow, this is a big list. So I'm just going to read it. CEO and founder of the Public Speakers Association, globally sought after speaker, host of Tonya Hoffman's fabulous TV show, which I've been on, which is freaking awesome. Best-selling international author of not one, not two, but 7 books. Winner of 4 major awards like the eWomen Network Conference Business Matchmaker of the Year and Global Mentorship Award from the EBC, and featured on the cover of 5 magazines. You are like a woman about town. So, Tonya, thank you so much for joining me today. And you've been the CEO of the Public Speakers Association for how long?
I started it in January of 2013.
Right. So, I know when I came upon the Public Speakers Association, I was like, yippee, a place I could go and really learn some things. And you are just so knowledgeable and such a great mentor, I think, for people. People think that to be a speaker, you need to be, I don't know, gregarious, special, or like to entertain or be on stage kind of thing. Do you think that anybody could actually be a speaker, and how would they go about doing that?
I truly believe not only can anybody be a speaker, but everyone should be a speaker, because you really have a chance to change somebody's life. And this is where it's all a head game, right? People get stuck with, but what if they don't like me, or, whatever, the head stuff that's going on. And what you're really doing is looking for the people who resonate with you, because we can't resonate with everyone. There's this, kind of fallacy out there that we're suddenly going to be so popular that everybody's going to love us. And I always look at, well, if people could, say ugly things about Oprah, then what else? Who else can we, expect to make happy? So it's not about making everybody happy and making everyone love us. It's finding the people who really do resonate. And I've met with some people who had absolutely no personality, and yet they still resonated with people.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? I think we have this preconceived notion that, like, everyone's going to love you or everyone's going to like you or whatever. And it's really not so much about that as it is like what you were saying. You could be a total science geek or someone who is kind of quiet or whatever, and people are going to love that.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Or you,
really
you can
about
be
connecting.
nervous and people are going to love that. Or you're going to be, bombastic and people are going
I've
to love
seen
that.
the worst presentations ever turn into so much money for the person who is giving it, because they still connect. Even if it's a terrible presentation, if it's good information and you're talking from your heart, you're going to connect with someone. And that's all that it's all about.
Yeah, I think the key really is connecting with your heart with other people, being like the show, Real, Raw, and Relevant. It's just being real with people. And people, I think, really appreciate that. We're not so attuned to being speakers or super polished. We kind of like, well, what are they trying to sell me? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I was just talking to a gentleman, and he's like, I've been in Toastmasters, and I've been this, and I've taken these presentation courses, and, he's going over this whole kind of what he's been doing. I said, so how are you connecting with the audience? Well, I'm making sure that I hit my marks. And I'm like, that's not what I'm asking you. How are you connecting to their heart? And right now, all you're doing is connecting to their head, which doesn't really resonate and really create momentum. And that's where you can see really good speakers versus awesome, amazing speakers is people that are good. Their presentation is flawless. Their speaking is flawless. They motion where they're supposed to motion. They walk to the side of the stage where they're walked to.
Right. They do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. They point where they're supposed to point or whatever. I don't know.
Or they don't point.
Exactly. I'm like, who cares? But the people that really make impact and people that really change lives, get rid of all of that. They just sit there and they just talk from their heart. They already know what they're going to say. They already know what's in their heart that they need to get out there. And they're just giving value and they're being imperfect. They're just being themselves.
Yeah, I've seen, I've seen a lot of speakers. You've probably seen a lot more than I've seen, right? But every time I go someplace and I see somebody who's just real or themselves or kind of relaxed, you just fall in love with them. You just go, oh, this person really cares and this person really wants to, has some good information, really wants to move things forward for everybody. And then when you see like the super polished speaker, at least for me, when I see a super polished speaker, it's kind of like, okay, like you see the format, you see them doing all the right things, but we really want to be inspired and we want to be, it's more of an emotional thing, I think, and certainly in terms of buying things or wanting to buy people's things or be with people. It's an emotional connection. It's not so much that what's inside the box, here's all the things you get kind of deal. Do you find that to be kind of what's happening with most of your speakers as well? Is that they're trying to just be who they are?
They're trying, people first come into speaking, they're like, I want to be like so-and-so, and that's unfortunate because then what you're doing is actually trying to drive that audience to that other person because you're not that person. So instead, just try to be yourself.
So like if you're Tony Robbins, if you want to be Tony Robbins, then everybody goes over to Tony.
Yeah. It's like people that use quotes from other people. I'm like, you just gave that person a huge plug. Well, why? Be yourself. Be of value to people and be of your own value. Own your value. And then when you do that, now people are really going to not only resonate with you, but they'll want to be with you. And the people who don't, fabulous. That bottom 25% who doesn't like you, great, let them go. The best two buttons ever invented was the block and the delete button. Use them. Let them go to the other person.
Yeah, I think that's great. You said something that I think is really important. Is like a lot of times we have a tendency. People love to do quotes, right? And I think quotes are cool. And yeah, you could do like have a set of your own quotes instead of quoting Tony Robbins or Marianne Williamson or someone everybody knows, because then that sticks in people's minds.
Well, when you use somebody else's quote, this is what people don't really grasp a hold of. Not only are you plugging that person, but you're also saying you don't have any real value of yourself. You have to use other people's stuff. So why would they want to go and hire you, especially if you're a coach and you're wanting to coach? Stop talking about what other people have you learned from them. Be your own capsule, right? Be your own self and allow people to naturally gravitate to you because that's what they're buying is you. Not that you were taught by someone else, not that you think someone else's quote is amazing and that you learn from it. What are they going to learn from you? And that's when you have impact.
Yeah, I think that's great. A lot of people talk about, I learned from this mentor or this mentor or this mentor. And it's kind of like we've all learned from everyone. We've read a million books. We've studied all this stuff. it's like a build of history. And sometimes my clients are saying, well, how can I be unique? How can I be different? And I'm like, well, there's really nothing different since Socrates. So you want to bring your personality. You want to bring kind of the way you do it, so that's what makes it interesting for other people.
Yeah,
So
and
I think
it's
that's
even going even beyond that, because when you start really looking at, the core value of who you are, that's when you start branding yourself, right? You can only be you, and I can only be me. And people are like, well, I can't be like you. Thank goodness, because you're not me.
We only need one Tonya Hoffman.
That's all we need, really. So go out and be you, give people value. And I always think it's funny because every time I've hired my mentors, my coaches, it's usually not the person who I just heard it from, because they've always made the mistake of saying, well, I learned this all from so-and-so. I'm like, well, why would I want to learn it from you? I'll go, hire the expert, right? So stop doing things like that. To give you real value is to say, this is what I know. This is what I can give you the experience. I am your vessel. I am your connection. That is. And for women, it's really hard because we always want to give credit to others and we always want to be nice. Stop it. Yeah. Be who you are.
I'm just going, stop it.
Stop it.
Yeah, just be who you are. Stop it. Stop it. I love that story that you tell from the stage about this woman who was really nervous. I always think of that.
Oh my gosh. People love that because they all want me to, everyone, every time I do a radio show or whatever, they're like, who's your favorite speaker? And I'm like, oh, it's this lady. It was her very first time to do a teleconference, or actually any presentation ever. And they're like, how can she be your favorite speaker? So then I tell people the story, right? Would you like me to share it?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. So, since I got everybody on the hook. So I own the Public Speakers Association. We do a virtual summit every month. So it's a teleconference. So the lady joined and she's so excited. And she's like, okay. I said, all right, so be on the next one. She goes, I'm not ready, which is that's the stock phrase from everyone. They're like, I'm not ready. I've got to get ready. I'm like, get ready. You've got a month. She's like, oh my gosh. And so she tried to back out every single day up until the time of the event. I was like, no, you're going to do this. You're going to be fine. So she gets on and she's getting ready and I introduce her and she starts. Now, this woman is really brilliant, right? She's just like so many people I know, just amazing. Confidence, not so much. And so she starts and she gives her first couple sentences and then she starts to hyperventilate and she starts grabbing for some water. She's like, and she's like, okay. And then she goes again and then all of a sudden, and then it's like that. Every 2 minutes, 2 sentences or so, she hyperventilates. And it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And finally, after 25 minutes of this back and forth, and it's like crazy, right? Now, usually on something like that happens, the live people usually drop off. There was about 25 people starting, 20 people stayed. And I'm like, are they waiting for the train wreck? I don't know. Why are they staying? I thought that was really curious. Now, her info was really awesome, which is usually, 90% of the people I meet have awesome information. So her info was really awesome. Afterwards, I said, thank you. I stopped the recording and she gave out the biggest exhaustion of happiness, I did it. And people on the lines just lit up. Usually after a presentation, there's nothing. It's like crickets. And then this time, the lines lit up. People were like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. You did a great job. Good going. And she's just crying. And I was crying. And you just see
everyone's crying.
Everyone's crying. So 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from her. She thanks me for pushing her to do it. And then she told me she made like $5,000 of sales from the people that was on the call. And she was like blown away. Now, this was the worst presentation I have ever heard. And she made $5,000. So if she can do it, And then, of course, the next month, she only hyperventilated a couple times. The next month after that, it's all over, right? She doesn't do that anymore. So you've got to push through and stop worrying about what people think. Let them resonate with you.
You so have to push through that fear and that self-doubt and all those conversations in your head, because you'll never do anything. I know when I do my Facebook lives, I don't even watch them. You know how you can delete it if you want? I'm just like, nope. I just like put them up, because otherwise I get really, you know, my hair's out of place, or I didn't like how I look, or, you know, that whole thing comes in and takes over. And I think it keeps so many of us, so many people from really stepping out.
Oh, yeah. People are always like, oh, my gosh, on your TV show, so how much do you edit? And I'm like, edit? No, baby. This goes up straight to YouTube. Oh, my gosh, you're not going to edit? But I said, and I said this, and the dog barked. And I'm like, yay!
Real life. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about, you know, these live shows, or, you know, Facebook Live, or these Be Lives, is it's just real. So
yeah,
people start to feel, from my point of view, they start to feel like they're not alone, that whatever they're working on, other people have gone before, or, you know, understand what it's like, and they don't always have to be like, oh yeah.
Well, and it's also real life, right? They get to experience real life, that it's not a bubble. They look at you and me and they think we live in this beautiful crystal bubble.
Right. I have a huge mansion on the beach.
Oh my gosh. And then I love it because my cat will jump up on my desk and its tail is like waving. And I'm in the middle of a webinar or something. I'm like, hello, Chai, you know, put her down. People are like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. You know, you have a cat. I'm like, I do have cats. I have children. I've got a husband. I've got, you know, things happening.
Got a whole house full.
I got a pump dimple,
you know. That's great. So in terms of speaking, do you, like, what do you think is the most important thing for people to realize how they influence each other?
Well, there's a couple different things. Yeah, you know, if you're looking at speakers influencing each other, and also in that world, because it's a small world, really it is. We all kind of know each other, which means you've got to be really careful about what you say and what you do. You know, because if you go to an event and you're ugly to people there, that gets messaged around really quickly. And vice versa. If you're like awesome and you're not a pain in the butt, again, it resonates around really quickly. So the speaking world, if you have an experience and suddenly you're the whiny butt, then you may find that suddenly
you're like being the diva. You like
exactly.
being the diva, like walking in.
You know, it's, you know, because even for myself, some of my event people that do a lot of events, and a lot of people, you know, that are going to be doing events, a lot of times they'll call me and they're like, hey, what do you think about this lineup? People that are thinking about asking. And I'm like, yes, no, yes, no. And I always qualify it, right? Because they may have no problem with that person the way they acted towards me or someone else. So, you know, I always qualify, why were they a pain in the butt? Or why would I suggest not bringing them in? And this is why. If that doesn't bother you, great, right? So, but it does get around, and people wonder why suddenly their list of where they're being asked to speak starts to dwindle, and it's usually because something happened.
Right, like they aren't as flexible. Do you think it's the flexibility, or they get kind of upset about? Because, you know, with speaking, you have to really be flexible, because you don't. Stuff happens, right?
Well,
things happen all the time.
There's an equalization of the event person holding true to what they say they're going to do for you, and then the speaker to do what they say they're going to do for the event. And so usually there's a conflict in that connection factor.
Yeah, people aren't really doing what they say they're going to do. Or
right. So if you say you're going to do something, do it. That's just the bottom line. If you don't think you can do it, or you don't want to do it, you need to have a frank conversation with that person. So when I sign someone's speaker's agreement, I read through it. Hello, read your agreements before you sign them. And then if there's something that they're asking me to do that I just won't do, then I'll have just a conversation. Hey, you want me to do this? I don't do that. So like, for example, there was a guy who wanted all the women in skirts. So I just called him up and said, I don't wear a skirt on stage. I wear pants on stage. This is why. Do you have a problem with that? And he goes, yes. I said, okay, well, go ahead and drop my name. And he's like, you're not coming? And I'm like, well, no, I just told you I don't wear a skirt on stage, and that's a requirement for whatever weird reason. I said, hopefully you have the guys wearing skirts too.
Everybody's wearing skirts, right? Men and women.
Yeah, that would have been totally fine. Then I would have said yes.
Right. That's hysterical. That is great. So, let's talk just a minute about how to create influence. Like, what are the best ways to create influence? I know that that's kind of a lot of what we're doing as speakers and also in our businesses. What do you suggest that people do?
It's all about helping somebody. So like the other day, I was talking to a lady. I'm about to have a call with her in just a minute. And I was giving her a lineup because she was asking for particular types of people. Now, obviously, I've got all my members of the association to pull from. And so those are the people I pulled from first, right? So she's like, I need a branding person. I said, here's a couple people, right? Here's Miss Ann Bennett. I heard she's amazing. So... But then you give people options too, and you connect them, and then you let them figure out who connects well with.
Work it out.
Right, because if someone doesn't connect, you've got to, it's not just usually a one-off.
Yeah, if they don't connect with you, they're probably not going to want you to come and be a speaker. I mean, that's kind of been my experience when I'm on the phone with people. If we have a really, really good connection, then they're like, yeah, why don't you come and speak? If we don't, they're kind of like,
yeah.
Let's talk next year.
Exactly. And usually with the influence game, it really is about helping somebody, not just saying again that you're going to, but actually doing it. And the easiest way is just to connect them to somebody that has some synergy. And this is what always freaks people out. I usually connect someone like, you're a branding person. I would connect you to another branding person. Because not every branding person does the same thing, and sometimes they have clients that they can't help or whatever, right? And
right, so it's all different.
Yeah, so that's always easy. And then I always keep like a top tier of people that are easy to connect people to, that have either influence or, something, right? So Sarah with the Conscious Chamber, she'd be a perfect example.
Yeah.
Right. So she's got a group of people, and she's fabulous, and she has that connectivity factor. So for her, it was easy for her to send people to me because I've got that connectivity factor. So
the two of you is really great to put you together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you both big connectors. So that's great.
Yeah.
So tell me, so you're gonna, and I think people kind of forget about that for whatever reason, but it's all about
everybody's a me
connecting.
Yeah, what I find, because people are like, I can never get booked to speak, and I'm like, well, how are you helping others get booked to speak? And they're like, didn't you hear it's about me getting booked to speak? And I'm like, yes, I did hear you. So that's what people in business, they don't realize how often they use the word I, me, my, right? And instead of using others, how to help others. And if you switch that around, and it's not an equalization, it's not like, oh, I'm going to help Ann, so Ann's going to help me. Right. Sometimes that works that way, but for me, it's all an energy push. Are you out there actually creating energy? And then are you leaving doors open? So are you going to walk through something that might be scary or crazy, or you're like, what did I just do? Because for me, a lot of times those hallways are super dark and you really don't know what's down there until you walk. So the scariest hallways are usually the best hallways because they've got this amazing door at the end. And again, it's the connectivity factor. So if you haven't reached out to some of your influence friends and say, hey, what are you up to nowadays? And connect with them and see. So I just did that 2 Mondays ago to my mentor. I hadn't talked to him in about 6 months. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm into cryptocurrency. You want to come out and we'll play together? I'm like, yeah. So suddenly I'm flying to LA in first class and being picked up in a Rolls Royce, right? And I'm like, I'm liking this. So you've got to open those doors again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really so true. It's just reaching out to people and seeing what they're doing. And is there a way you can connect them with somebody else that can support them to do whatever it is that they're up to? Then people are more, people love that. They love that.
Yeah.
You'll either end up getting that energy from that person or someone else, but it's more like this energy that you're putting out.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just great. A good info, just give some people good info and don't worry about how it's going to come back to you a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think you're going to be giving away this 7 ways to wow your audience.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So if people want to get that, they can get the 7 ways audience. Is there one way in there in particular that you haven't said or that you want to reiterate about in terms of wowing people?
I think yes, let's say this really quickly. If you're walking into that room as a speaker and your goal is to get a standing ovation, then you are there for the wrong reason. Because that really means you're only there for self-serving. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people go, but I really like it when people clap. I'm like,
I like it when they love me. I
know we have such a desire for acceptance, but really they should be head down, filling out some type of form, contest, information, sales form, whatever it is, to go further with you, to get connected with you, they want to be a part of your world so bad that they don't want to stop, right? They want to continue. That's when you know you've done a great job. Not just, yay, okay, bye, but yay, dig in, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. And, the other thing that you always do that I love, that I do as well, is you stick around. You don't hop in, speak, and hop out. You stick around. You're there for people to connect with.
Yeah, there's 2 types of speakers out there, and it's becoming this big gap. So there's the transactional speakers and the relationship speakers. You and I are relationship speakers. Yeah, we go in, we want to be a part of the event, we want to help out, we want to help the event people, we want to be there with the audience, we want to connect with the audience. Transactional speakers want to come in, do their thing, gobble up what they can get and get out. And you can always tell the difference between the 2.
Yeah, I think that's why we connect so well, because we're in there we just want to be in there with the people and really bring value and service. So I just wanted to thank you so much for giving us all your love and wisdom on the show today, because you are one of my favorite people out there in the community of communities, because, we come across so many people in our businesses and speaking and doing things. And when I met you, I just fell in love with you. You're just extraordinary and bring so much to the arena of what I call conscious business. People being conscious about what it is they're doing.
Well,
so again, if you want to connect
more friends of us, right?
Yeah, let's have more friends. Let's have more people doing what we're doing. And so if you want to connect with Tonya Hoffman, it's the Public Speakers Association, and there's a link in the notes here for you to download her gracious offer, which is 7 ways to wow your audience. And again, it's real, raw, and relevant renegade branding So thank you so much, Tonya. Thank you.
Yay! And
Yay!
please get connected with Miss Ann. She's amazing.
I love that. It's awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.